Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now this video is going to be another Q&A video. It's been a while. The first Q&A video I did, I'll link it below. This is the same spot, and I figured, hey, I'll just come outside today, because normally you guys always see me inside on the video, so I figured I'd switch it up a little bit. Before we get to the Q&A, I want to let you guys know that I am actually going to be going to Costa Rica in a week from today. Now, I know I'm filming this on a Sunday, and this will probably come out in a day or two, so Sunday next week, I am leaving to go to Costa Rica for 7 whole days. Now, basically what happened is I was given an amazing opportunity to go to this resort called Arrhythmia, and they reached out to me and asked me, invited me to come and check out their facility. They think that, you know, it's something I'd definitely be into, and I did some research on it. It looks like an awesome facility. It looks like an awesome place that people go. It's like a life transformation type place. People like Deepak Chopra. There's other people that are like leaders in the spiritual type community and that know about this place, that have talked about it. There's actually a documentary that was made in regards and in relation to it called The Reality of Truth. I'm going to go ahead and link that video down below so you guys can see more about it. But basically it just looks like a facility that people can go to really expand their levels of awareness, their consciousness, and understanding different levels of perception. And it's something that I think that, you know, I'm definitely going to try out. Me and my buddy Victor, who I'm sure many of you guys know, are going to be going there. We're both leaving. And we're going to be vlogging the whole experience for you guys. So this could be something that you guys are able to see. If you're watching this video later in the future, you're able to kind of go and see those videos, those vlogs. Definitely go check those out. I'm excited to be having that kind of experience, to be given the opportunity to go there. And I'm excited to share it all with you guys. So I'll link it below. Go ahead and check that video out. It's an awesome documentary. And other than that, let's go ahead and get into the Q&A for the day. Basically, I asked a question, actually a long time ago. I asked for questions. I was going to do this a lot sooner. I was waiting for the YouTube plaque for 100,000 subscribers. However, YouTube takes forever. I think by the time I get the plaque, we'll probably be at about 200,000 subscribers. I just got the form like 2 or 3 days ago to fill out the form, which then takes another 6 weeks to actually get it for the plaque to come to my house. So it'll probably be a while before I get it. I wanted to unbox it and do this Q&A. But regardless, let's go ahead and get into it. I asked you guys questions actually a long time ago, and these are going to be some of those questions. And the first question is, how do you visualize correctly? Now, that comes from Awesome Sports. Now, visualization is a powerful tool. I'd say the first thing with this is to focus more on the fact that visualization, or the idea that visualization is a means or an end in itself. Now, normally we think, oh, I'm going to visualize because that's going to get me this over here that I don't already have. The purpose of visualization, I'd say, if you really want to transform the way you see the process, is first off knowing that visualization, you do it for the sake of visualizing. You do it for the feeling that you get from it. With visualization comes a certain feeling. That feeling helps you understand the symbol of that's what you want to create more in your life. Then that gives you like a barometer for something that you can continue to use in order to manifest what you want, create what you want. So use visualization more as an end in itself than a means, and you'll find that it's much more powerful. Now, the other tip I have for it is to use visualization in a way to where you incorporate more of the senses. So normally we think visualization is something that I see. Think of it more as something that you can also feel from. You can use your auditory sense, use your different senses. Imagine what it would feel like. Imagine what the breeze would be like in the air if you're at the beach. You see, these different senses that you bring into it make it much more powerful, and the brain at a certain level doesn't know the difference between what we imagine and what is actually happening. So the good part of that is we can condition ourselves in a very powerful way by using that and doing it consistently. So that's how I recommend visualization. I think it's a very powerful thing to do, but nonetheless, that's how I would go about it. So let's go to, how do you keep, this one comes from Saji Aleph, and it says, how do you keep yourself integrated in your beliefs and ideologies while amongst and contending with disbelievers of your beliefs? Now, for me personally, I find that I just don't focus on it at all. Like, I remember I was much more susceptible and vulnerable in the beginning of having a YouTube channel. I guess just because it was new to me and I was like stepping outside my comfort zone by sharing these ideas. And I remember the first time I got a negative comment, it really did kind of affect me. And I kind of looked at it as like, oh, you know, what am I doing wrong? And that's when, from that point going forward, it got easier and easier because I would focus more on the positive side of things, more on the people that do agree, and also just knowing that I don't need other people to believe what I'm saying. Now, the reason I say that is because the way you know if somebody really believes what they're talking about is if they need other people to believe it for them to really believe in it more. So maybe certain people you see that maybe pitch their religious ideas. They maybe have to go door to door to get people to believe in what they believe in. And I'm not talking down on that, but what I'm saying is if you really believe something to be true and you're very confident about it, you don't really need to have other people believe in it for you to like feel better about it. Now that's kind of the way I go about it. I'm cool if people don't agree with what I'm saying because it's something that I am learning from experience. It's something that I feel within myself, and it's not dependent on what other people think. So that's kind of like the frame, I guess you could say, the meta frame of how I go in with the process. The other part of it is I guess I focus on the people that do and the people that I can serve. So, for example, now I might get a negative comment, and it really doesn't affect me at all because there are thousands and thousands of comments of people that have said really positive things on my channel, and I just choose to focus on those. And I choose to focus, even the positive, comments. It's not that my state of being is dependent on it. It is very nice to see. It makes me feel good to know that I'm adding value and that it makes a difference in people's lives. But at the fundamental level, I'm just not really, phased either way. Now, I'd say that you just always go within. You always just kind of trust yourself. If you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're saying, you don't need other people to believe in you as well. And that makes it so much easier. So I'd say it's the frame, it's the state, it's the way you think about it that makes it so much easier to go through the process. Now, this one comes from Dev Angriani asking, "Hi Aaron, what is your opinion on energy healing? Can you make a video about it? Thank you, and much love from Indonesia. Much love from the States." The first thing I'll say is with energy healing, I believe that first off, we are all energy. That energy is really all there is. That when we think sometimes that somebody else is healing someone else, really what is happening is that quote unquote what we call energy healer is just vibrating at a certain quote unquote frequency, and that the other person is then able to match that if they choose. Now, the idea is that we really have the power to heal ourselves. Now, that doesn't take away, I'm not saying that there aren't such things as energy healers, but what I'm saying is that we need to more so realize that the power is within us to heal ourselves. And when we come at it from that point of view, we see that if somebody else is able to heal us, what we're really doing is we are matching their vibration or their frequency or maybe even their belief that they can be healed. So, we also need to understand our belief systems. Some people believe that they go to a doctor and that the doctor can give them a prescription and that then they can be healed. Now that in a form is a belief system that is being self-fulfilling prophecy is coming from that. So we believe that we need to go to a doctor if we feel a certain way. We believe that when we get a certain type of prescription that will make us feel a certain way. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy based on what is called a placebo effect. Now, in general, everything in our life is a placebo at a certain aspect because we are always getting a reflection of what we believe to be true. Now, I'm not taking away from the power of energy healers. I think there are many people out there with great intentions. I think there are many people out there that maybe can even heal other people, but what they are really doing is resonating at a certain well-being, at a certain frequency, and then other people are responding to that, and if they choose, then they get the benefit from it. So that's kind of my perspective. I know it may be a little bit different than what you would expect to hear, but I think it's powerful, but I think it's even more powerful to know that that power exists within you if you simply decide that you are going to feel a certain way. I haven't been sick in about 5 or 6 years because I just don't believe I get sick. I set myself up to always be healthy, to eat and drink in a healthy way, and because of that, I feel the way that I do. I think it can really be as simple a matter of choice. That's kind of how I view it. Let's go to another question. Can some bad days affect our vibes and stop our manifestation? Can you please make a video about it and answer it in the Q&A? That was from Arya Naik. Now, my perspective on this is that bad days can affect us if we choose for them to. It depends on our state of being. I talk a lot about on this channel about what is called holding our frame. Now, holding our frame means that we have a certain vision of what we want to do, we have a certain intention, and if we let anything else get into the, in front of that, then it will affect us. But instead what we can do is we can decide how we respond to the circumstances in our life. Now, understand that the most powerful ability you have is to choose how you respond to the circumstances in your life. So, This means that we can decide that even though something bad may have happened, that it doesn't have to be a pattern we see the rest of the day. It comes from also focus. What are we focused on? The easiest way I'd say to get around this is to set intentions in the beginning of your day and to understand the power of momentum. So sometimes what I'll do is when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is meditate. Lately, the next thing I do is I jump into a very cold shower for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then after that, I get into my day, and normally what I'll do is I'll prime myself. So I'll create videos, but before I create the videos, I prime myself in certain directions of what I'm thinking about. I focus on the things I want to get done that day. I focus on the emotions, the things I want to be feeling, how I want to move through my day, how excited I can feel. I focus on gratitude, and as I focus, I prime myself so that I'll see patterns throughout my day that resonate with that state of being. Now, you'll realize that if you kind of wake up and you're focused on things that don't serve you, maybe you're focused on negative things, that negative perspective separates you from your environment and maybe makes you feel the negative side effects of it. So it comes from focus. Momentum comes from focus, and when you change your focus, you change what you feel, and I think that that's just a powerful thing. So you could choose the kind of day that you have based upon what you're focused on, and as you do that, everything begins to change. Now, let me see. This one's an interesting question. Jackie Baldwin asks, what is your take on demons? What if the higher self is really demonic? There's controversy on the higher self and the law of attraction, the chakras, etc. That's mainly the question. So what is your take on demons, and is our higher self demonic? I'd say that demons are self-perpetuated if we believe that they are real. Now, some people would argue with that and say, oh, they really are real. It depends, I think, on your belief system, because some people don't prescribe to the beliefs of maybe heaven and hell, so maybe they don't also have with that a demonic type belief system, so that doesn't really come into their consciousness or to their experience. I choose, personally, I don't believe in them. Not that well, this is what I believe. I believe that our beliefs create our reality, that each one of us will have a different experience in our life based upon what we believe to be true, because we get a different reflection. So if somebody is a part of the belief system that says that there are demons, they may create that experience in their life, but that's only coming because that is getting reflected back to them, and they are creating that based on the symbols in their life and what they're focused on. So at the fundamental level, personally, I don't believe they exist because I don't focus on them, but I think that they can exist for certain people. So I know that kind of seems like a tell around on it. When it comes to this, let's take this a step further. I believe if they do create that, that is a symbol for their own level of consciousness. Now, what I mean by that is that we have good and bad. We have the duality type thinking, and that we can create certain symbols for ourselves, and one of those symbols could be that kind of experience. But it's a level of our own consciousness, just like the good things in our life are a reflection of our own consciousness. So this means that when we really get to the core of what we believe to be true, we can see that if we do have that experience, it's self-perpetuated based on our beliefs. And if we simply change our focus, that's where everything begins to change. So I know that's a kind of a unique answer for it, once again, but that's kind of how I view about it. Now, all right, now the next question is, how did you get into the law of attraction, and when did you start focusing and retraining your subconscious mind? Well, the first time I got into the law of attraction was actually when my mom told me about this movie called The Secret. I was like 15 years old probably, and I remember thinking this is probably going to be something kind of weird. You know, she was really excited to show it to me, and I just didn't know what to expect. I remember watching it, and there was just something about it that really resonated with me, and it kind of planted a seed. It wasn't like I was 15 years old and all of a sudden it was like, no, I was probably 16 or 17, but it wasn't like I was all of a sudden, you know, trying to apply it, but it definitely planted a seed, and from that point going forward, eventually I had a sales commission job working at Nordstrom's while I was going to college, and while I was doing that, I became very aware of how my perspectives would change the kind of days I would have, because it was purely a commission job. So if I went in with a positive perspective and with a certain intention and goals, then I would get a certain type of result. So it was kind of like a really good firsthand experience as to how I could see that reflection in my life of like what I was getting was what I was putting out, and I would see the different perspectives I'd have and how I'd have different days. And I did that over and over again, and then eventually it just started to kind of prove itself to me more and more. Then I read the book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which completely changed my perspective and kind of deepened what I already kind of knew that could be true. And from that point, that's when I really started to apply it. I applied it, and there were just amazing little synchronicities that would happen. Things would happen to where I'd set an intention, like the next day something would happen. I'd meet the right person the next day. I remember one time I wanted to get a car, like a new car, and the next day I met an owner of a car dealership who told me they'd get me a car at auction price because they liked me so much. And that was like a day after I had that intention. So little things like that, and it was like, wow, there's something here. And from that point going forward, I just became very focused on it. And then eventually I started to study more quantum physics. I started to study some of the deeper kind of esoteric understandings of it. And then I realized that there's a certain way I think about it that I think I can explain to people in a powerful way. And that's where the YouTube channel came into play. And then since then, amazing things have happened because I've just continued to follow my passion in that way. So that's kind of my idea of it. Another question comes from the next question comes from Corinna, who's asking, how do you use the law of attraction for mental illnesses or like depression and anxiety? The best thing you could do is understand that the definitions we give things is going to be the reflection, the way that we feel about it. So when it comes to anxiety, the best tip I have for anxiety is that if you feel anxiety, first off, allow the anxiety to be there and don't judge yourself for feeling it. Now, second off, reframe the anxiety and see how it could be excitement, maybe being filtered through a negative belief system. So we might be just labeling and judging the excitement we feel, and then it comes out as anxiety. So imagine you are getting ready to go give a speech in front of a lot of people. You feel anxiety and nervous about it. What if that feeling could be excitement, but we're judging it and we're putting a label on it that says it's anxiety, so therefore we get that kind of experience. So reframe what it is, understand that our beliefs are creating the experience, and that when we start to see it from that point of view, we're able to really let it go. Also, allow emotions to be there. So many times we're made to think that it's wrong to feel a certain way. We judge ourselves, we beat ourselves up. It's okay to be human. It's okay to feel those emotions. Let it be okay that it's there, and it's a paradox, because when you let it be okay that it's there, it will eventually start to go away. So that's something that I've done many times when it comes to if I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling kind of stressed out. I let it be okay that I'm stressed out, and then it starts to go away. It's the funniest thing. Somebody else asked, how would you explain how to be spiritual to someone who isn't spiritual at all? What steps would you give them to get on the spiritual path? First off, I would say that spirituality and being spiritual is about really just connecting to who we are at a deeper level. For me, it's the awareness that we are not just humans having a spiritual experience, but we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Now that means that at an expanded point of view, at a certain level, we're immortal spiritual beings, so there's really not much to stress about in the larger aspect of life. That's kind of how I see it personally, but it'll depend on person to person based on their own belief systems on how they kind of relate to it. So I'd say be aware of what their beliefs are before you go into it, because you can language it in such a way that it actually resonates with them. So for example, sometimes people will talk to me, and like the other day, and this is like months ago actually, I was in a sauna, and there was this dude in there that was really, really religious. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but he was, I could see very much on the doctrine and the Bible and the scripture and what it says. And, I wasn't pushing anything that I said. He was just asking me what I do, and I told him about my YouTube channel, kind of what I talk about. He's like, oh, do you talk about the scriptures and Jesus Christ and all this? And I kind of explained to him, I was like, I kind of have a different perspective on it. I'm not saying that Jesus isn't real or anything like that, but what I am saying is that some of it may have been misinterpreted or miscontext. The idea is that that energy that exists within him also exists within everybody else. We call that Christ consciousness. And the way that I languaged it to him was within his own beliefs and how he thought, so that he could understand it. Because if I was like, no, you create your own reality, like all of these things, it might have been too far outside the spectrum. So I language it in a way that he could understand. I'd say, well, you know how in the scriptures it says, and I don't really study the scriptures, so I don't really know exactly, but I was like, how he said that these things that I can do, you can do, and if not even better. Well, how he said that quote was like, I believe that that energy exists within us, and that we have the ability to also do amazing things like that. So I think that that's something that exists within us, and I think that God isn't really out there, it's actually in here. And everything we see is a reflection of what we believe to be true, and it's a reflection of who we are. So I believe that we're all connected. I believe that infinite and unconditional love is our natural state of being, that anything else that we feel is coming from attachment, it's coming from a certain perspective, and that when we really tap into this, we see that that is just who we are. So get inside their beliefs, see how they think, and then maybe language it in such a way, but don't be attached to what they think or if they even buy into it. Just focus on you and be a shining example. That's what I did. When I first came on the spiritual path, I was so focused on, trying to share these amazing ideas with people. I felt such an expansion of my consciousness. But then what happened is I ended up turning people off because I was almost trying to sell it. I let go of that. It took me months to figure out, but I let go of it. I started to just live my life. Now, it's funny because I have a YouTube channel. I share these ideas. I have a lot more attention now. I have friends who used to think it was weird woo-woo stuff that now is hitting me up and they want to talk to me. They really really actually like what I'm doing. They're inspired by what I'm doing. And it's because I'm not selling it. I'm not trying to get people to agree with me. I'm not trying to develop some type of organization. This is just what I believe to be true, and if you like it, that's great, and if you don't like it, that's great too. I'm not attached to either way. So same way, I encourage you to do and have kind of a similar type perspective when it comes to it. Be a shining example. People see I'm such a positive person. People see that I work really hard at what I do. People see that I have such an intention to grow and to add as much value as I can, and I think that inspires people to become more spiritual because they see that within me. So I guess that's kind of my perspective. Trying to think of any other questions. There's another question. I think I answered this in the last one. How do you get your teeth so white? My teeth look white because of a ring light that I use. Also, my teeth are pretty white. I don't use any whitening. I don't use any charcoal or any of that stuff. Although maybe I'll try it. You know, I've heard great things about it. But what I do is I use Tom's toothpaste, which is fluoride-free toothpaste. I brush my teeth 2 or 3 times a day. And other than that, I don't drink coffee. I don't really drink tea. I don't really drink anything that dark. I drink a lot of water. I don't really know what it is, but that's just what I do. So. Also, I created a free MP3 meditation hypnosis that you guys can get in the description box below. It'll help you change how you think, how you act, how you feel, and understand our personality creates our personal reality. That's a quote by Dr. Joe Dispenza. When we change our personality, we change the reflection that we get. Understand that it's a very powerful way to change our subconscious mind. That's why I created the PDF or the MP3. You can find it below. You can download that. Other than that, I had a lot of fun doing this today. I'll probably do more Q&As. Put some of your guys' questions below. Check out that documentary that I put in the description box as well. Let me know what you guys think about it, because that's where I'll be going in a week. And other than that, I'll see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.